can.
And one of the other things that you mentioned that I wanted to touch upon was you've got these workshops, they're free, they're for people, I get it. But there's some sentences you said in your TED Talks that made me feel like you want us to have information as women, but it's also important that you have a good mechanic.
Yes.
In case, I don't necessarily want to fix my car.
Right.
But I want to know what
Right.
someone's saying to me. Like you mentioned
Right.
the air filter thing. Do I
Right.
really need an air filter every time I
Right.
go get my oil change?
Right.
So can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so it's providing that education because that's what's going to make you feel confident. So when you go to a Jiffy Lube, I know for me, I don't know if I'm allowed to even say that, but for me, if I went to a quick lube place and they'd say, oh, well, you need an air filter, and I'd be like, why?
Yeah.
And they'll be like, it's help with your gas, you'll get better gas mileage. And I'm thinking, didn't they just tell me that last time? So I'd be like, no, I'm not getting it. Or I'd say, all right, I guess it's been a while. I had no real idea if I really needed it, what was dirty, what wasn't. And so I wanted to educate women so they knew when they were talking to them what they were talking about, why it was important, if it's important, and how to know when you need that stuff changed.
Right.
And it's not like rocket science. It's not very relatable to us. And that's cultural, so that's why I wear the red heels. I talk, does your car have boogies? I try to make things relatable so women say, I get it, and they understand why it's important. And it's not anything that's too much over their head, too technical. Not to say you wouldn't get it, but you don't care. You don't want to learn how a 4-stroke engine works, but you do need to know your engine needs oil, and it's important you get your oil changed.
Yeah, I learned that $3,800 later. So.
Yeah. And I can tell you how many small, people who have tried to save like $30-40 and have thousands of dollars damage later. So that's why I talk about oil changes. The most important thing you can do for your car. And I stress that with women a lot.
So thankfully, I do have a very good mechanic.
Good.
I've same mechanic for I was trying to figure it out on the drive over. It's either 18 or 15 years. I gauge things by the birth of my niece and nephew. So I'm like, well, Malika was here, but Kimani was. So it was somewhere around there. But so I feel like I'm okay there. But there's still a lot of things I would like to learn.
Yeah.
So on that note,
Yes.
how do we attend these
workshops?
Girls Auto Clinic?
So the workshops are free. Education, I believe, is really important, and everyone should have access to it. So I have them right now in Philadelphia every month between April and November because I hold them outside in the parking lot, so it needs to be warm enough.
Right.
Nobody wants to be standing outside in the cold for 2 hours because they're like 2 hours long. But they go by fast because they're very interactive. I have a parts table out there. You're going to learn what your pads look like when they need to be replaced versus brand new, and rotors when they need to be replaced, things like that. And then you learn on your own car. So we limit it to about 25 women because you're going to bring your own car. We're going to lift the hoods up. If you don't know how to lift your hood, you're going to learn. And you kind of learn what you can touch, what you can't touch, and how to maintain things, and everything that's going to make you a more confident driver, be able to talk to a mechanic more confidently. Because it's not just, you say you have a good mechanic, and there's times I've probably come up against a good mechanic and they're telling me I need something, but I don't know and I'm not educated, so I feel like I'm being taken advantage of even if I'm not.
Right.
So you can find out more about the workshops. They'll be coming up in April. My website, girlsautoclinic.com, but the second weekend in April. The reason I hesitated there was because I used to do them every third weekend, but I think I'm going to switch them this year and start doing them the second weekend in April, and that's for some scheduling conflicts coming up. So you'll know when they're coming up because they sell out really quick. And I was doing it because they're free too. People would sign up and then they may not show.
Right.
So I started only putting them up 1 month in advance because if I'd put them up 3 or 4 months in advance, people would sign up and they'd be sold out for 4 months, and then they forgot they'd sign up 4 months earlier. So if it's sold out, don't worry. There'll be another link coming within a couple of weeks where you'll be able to schedule it again. Until I can get a better system on how to get it so it's not sold out all the time quickly. That's what I use. So it's easier to follow me on, you found me on Facebook. So if you're on Facebook, Girls Auto Clinic, or Twitter, Girls Auto Clinic. I'm on Instagram too, Girls Auto Clinic. I constantly update there first when I have workshops and things like that.
Do you have a blog or an online community with
Yes.
Chicanics? Yeah.
So Chicanic is the name that I call my car savvy women who are learning and empowered about their cars. And I remember what it felt like if a dashboard light came on and
just
that
panic.
check engine, and I
Just
didn't know who to
panic,
ask,
right.
or if a mechanic was telling me I needed something, or if I heard a noise, I'm like, what do I do? So I wanted to provide like this online community for women where they could ask questions about their cars and get answers from other mechanics. But so this community is special because it's just women and female mechanics. And so I wanted it to be a safe community where we could come, ask any question you have about your car. You get almost instantaneous answers. Share any stories or triumphs you may have, or maybe buyer beware. So, and it's so, I love it because it's so interactive. We've got female mechanics on there, but other girls like my
Yeah.
mechanics who are just feeling really good about being empowered and wanting to learn, and they're sharing information. So it's really exciting. So, it's just join. It's a closed group, so it's only for women, but just join it and only participate if you have a question. It's not something where we're going to annoy you or spam you. It's, hey, something's going on with my car, and I just want to make sure I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah. And I can completely relate to how it would feel because like the 3 things I know how to do on my car, okay?
Which are what? What do you know?
I know how to don't laugh. All right.
I'm not gonna laugh.
I know how to put antifreeze in, okay? I know how to, this is a big deal for me, okay? I know how to change the windshield wipers. I know how
That's
to.
a big deal. Like,
Yeah,
those are
well,
kind of
the first
tricky.
time-
They're
the
tricky.
first time I was like,
I still
"What is
struggle.
going on?"
Listen, there's some of them I'm still like,
Which
I can't
way is
get
it
on.
supposed to
Yes,
go?
they're a little
and,
tricky, so that's
and
good.
then I was having problems with my tires recently, so I had a slow leak. So I had to keep
That's a
doing the
pain.
tire gauge thing, and that
Yeah.
was like, this tire's gonna explode, whatever. So I had the little tire gauge. But in those moments when I could do something right, you could not tell me anything.
Right. It's empowering,
Right?
right? I know. I say, when I was an auto airhead, my light bulb went out, my headlight, and a coworker who's male said, "Go to Pep Boys, get a light, come back, I'll show you how to put it in." And he showed me how to do it, but he just kind of walked me through it, and I did everything myself, and I felt so good. I was
know.
like, yes. I even wrote a post on Facebook saying I just changed my light bulb. Like, I feel like really empowered.
Right.
And it did, like, it motivated me to want to help other women and teach other women, because it's you want other people to feel good about it.
I found my fuse box a couple of weeks ago.
Nice.
Because I thought there was a fuse blown. So I'm like, again, on YouTube with the videos and everything. And
I
so
love
I'm like,
YouTube. It
I'm like,
has
I
some
don't
great
have
stuff.
this thing in my car. It's not here. And I pulled it down and it was right under. I'm like, oh my God, it's there.
And underneath the car and the
No,
seat.
it's like in the where the steering wheel and there's a little
yeah.
box there, like a little, and then I pulled the box
you
out.
have 2 fuse boxes. That's one of them. But what was the fuse? What was blown? That
I
you thought?
my dad and I thought that it was just with the blower inside, but it wasn't. The whole thing had to be replaced. But we thought it was just a fuse.
Right.
So
Because the fuse, there's fuses underneath the hood too.
yeah, so I was going to those. It wasn't that.
I wouldn't touch the fuses that are underneath your steering wheel. The ones that are underneath your hood are the ones that are usually the ones you want to replace.
Do you see how much I need
Yeah.
you, Patrice? Do you see? But we have just a couple of minutes left. But there's
Okay.
one other aspect that we haven't touched on, and that's the car buying
Yes.
part. So could you talk about the advice and the guidance that you give folks in that area?
So I get a lot of requests to talk about this, and I just want to make a disclaimer that I don't know much about car buying. I've never worked in sales, especially new cars, or when it comes to price or negotiating. I'm just not an expert. Women ask me to come with them when they're buying a used car, because they want to make sure they're getting a good car. And also I give advice when buying a new car. So especially on my blog, I talk a lot, because we often make the first mistake with our cars when we buy them. And we don't understand what's the important things to know when buying a car, like the cost of repair. And so when buying a car, one of the first things I think people need to look at is what your needs are. I know we like nice, fancy cars, but luxury cars, especially the German ones, are more expensive, and repairs are going to be more expensive. And I see it a lot where people buy a used car, especially a BMW or a Mercedes or a Lexus, because they can get them for pretty cheap used. But the reason they can do that is because their repairs are very expensive, because they're more luxury cars and electrical repairs. So you want to keep that in mind. If it's a used car, or 5 years down the line, if you want to keep it for longer, it's going to cost you more money to get these things done. If you're buying a used car, one of the things, I think you should take it to a mechanic before you buy it. I wouldn't go anywhere without a mechanic looking at it. And the key mileage you really want to be at is 100,000 miles. A lot of big things come up big failures can come up around 100,000 miles on your car. So, you know, it's in my book, but and I also talk about the workshop, like you want to start saving up money if you know your car is getting to 100,000 miles, because you're going to have some big repairs that need to be done, or maintenance, which is like your timing belt that can be $700-800. And as it gets older, things will just start failing left and right. I tell women, cars are going to fail. Like, they're engineered pieces of equipment, You're driving thousands and thousands of miles, a year on this thing. Things are gonna break. They just are, and you need to get them replaced, and you need to be prepared. And as it gets older, things will just start going, and it happens all the time where you'll go into a mechanic and he'll do something on your tire, and then you leave and a light pops on.
Right.
And you think, oh, what'd you do to my car?
Exactly.
And it's just like, it happens, especially as cars get older. So just be prepared if you're buying a used car to put some money aside for maintenance of them, because the repairs start to get more expensive as they get older.
Okay.
But the more you take care of the car, the more it'll take care of you. So when you're buying a car, you want to start with a good one. And I would definitely take it to a mechanic. I could talk for an hour about all the things you should check, but one of the things that I would do is have someone come with you that knows it, because you definitely want to test drive the vehicle. You want to lift up the hood and look under it, major things like leaks. But there's things like a lot of women don't know, even small things like a battery needing to be changed, or tires. I've seen women buy a used car that needed new tires, and needed a new battery, and this could all have been negotiation points to lower the price, because now you have to put new tires on the car as soon as you get a new battery, and they don't realize that stuff. And it's not very expensive, but it's something that you're going to have to put money into it as soon as you buy it. So that's why it's important. And you can go to my website, Girls Auto Clinic. I even blog about how you find a good mechanic and what is some of the criteria that you should be looking for to find a good mechanic.
Well, Patrice, this information has been
Thank you.
invaluable.
Thank you so much for having me.
We are looking forward to sharing your contact information.
Yes.
Filling up those classes and workshops. Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Anytime. Anytime. So I'll be signing up for one of the April workshops.
Yes, I'd love to come to Delaware. I have a lot of requests, and I've done some in Delaware at the Porsche of Delaware. But as we're starting to expand. Oh, one of the other things can I talk about?
Absolutely.
So what I have coming up, my next kind of career step with Girls Auto Clinic, is opening a full service garage. So I wanted to really have a safe space for women to come and bring their cars to get them worked on, but also have a place where women could work in this industry. You don't find a lot of women working on cars is because it's difficult, because there's so few women. They face a lot of discrimination because of their gender. They don't have a lot of support, other women in the business that can help support them with their career development and growth. And so a lot of them quit. And so I wanted to provide a space for them. So we'll be hiring female mechanics and catering to women, and there'll be a nail salon there so you can get your nails done while you're waiting for your car. Just everything that you'd want to do, you'd rather be doing besides getting your car worked on. But not only that, you're going to get your car worked on by somebody that you can trust, and you feel good about it. I want women to feel good about their car buying and repair decisions, and that's really what we're here to do.
That is fantastic.
Yes. So Girls Auto Clinic, go and sign up. You'll get information hopefully by the summer. I'm looking at this shop in Philly. We'll be in the Philadelphia area.
This is going to be
fun. I eventually would love to be in Delaware and everywhere across the nation.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. I'm thinking, how could this not be a huge success? Yeah. How could this not be a chain? It's going to be amazing, because we need it.
Yes,
Thank
definitely.
you, Patrice. Thank you so much.